Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Welcome to Adobe Live. My name is Terry White. If this is your first visit to Adobe Live, welcome. If this is your first Friday on Adobe Live, you're in for a treat because it's Masterclass Friday. It's the Friday that all of the Adobe evangelists, or most of the Adobe evangelists, get to share their various disciplines. And I get to show my photography discipline, which is mostly editing, but we will get back into photography as time goes on this year. For those of you who are new, if you're watching on a different platform, if you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, wherever you're watching, cool, you can hang out there. But if you really want to take advantage of the conversation, head over to b.net/Adobe Live. That's where I'll be looking at the main chat. I may see the other chats, but that's where I'll definitely be paying attention to the main chat. So it's great to have so many of you already here. John Allen's here, Ozzy, Jan, Sam Peterson, Stuart, and William, and the list goes on. And I see Urban Johnson just popped in on YouTube. So again, great if you want to hang out on YouTube or Facebook or wherever you are. But if you really want to participate in today's chat, head over to b.net/Adobe Live. All right, what are we doing today? Today we're going to take a look at a topic that actually comes up in various forms. And it's basically, I want to take a laptop with me out in the field. I want to take a laptop with me out on vacation. I want to shoot and import my images and work with my images while I'm out and about. And then when I get back, I want to consolidate it all. I want it to all be back in the main catalog if you were using Lightroom Classic. And of course, if you're using Lightroom, which some of you refer to as the cloud version, then you're kind of already set. You don't really need to do a whole lot more there. So I'm going to talk about the various ways of taking Lightroom with you, whether it's on summer vacation or just out on a shoot and you don't want to carry everything you have. Maybe you have a desktop and a laptop and you want to work that way. So we're going to take a look at, I think I've got 5 various ways to do it queued up. As a matter of fact, let me launch my notes. That's the one thing I did forget to launch today, because I don't want to forget what my 5 ways are. I kind of know them by heart, but just in case, let's go ahead and get the notes up. And there it is. All right, I got my notes up, ready to go. Okay, so feel free to ask questions along the way. Let me see. 1, 2, wait, yeah, 5 ways. I was just going to say, I thought I saw 6. So maybe I have 6 ways. 5 ways. If you got questions along the way, sure, go ahead and ask them. If you want to refer back to the crash courses that I did last 2 weeks, so I did Crash Course Part 1, Crash Course Part 2. If you're new to Lightroom Classic, and if you're new to Lightroom, I have an introduction to Lightroom or how to get started with Lightroom as well. All right, so let's go ahead and dive in and talk about the 5 different ways. And the first way is going to be super easy for the Lightroom users. All right, so let's switch over to my desktop. Let's get rid of that. Switch over to the desktop, and there we are. All right, so I'm in Lightroom. So this is Lightroom, and this is Lightroom Classic. So 2 different versions of Lightroom on the desktop. Has been that way now for a few years. Lightroom Classic is the older version, as the name implies, the version that many of us still love and use, and I use it primarily to this day and plan to keep using it for the foreseeable future. So Lightroom Classic is the one I use, but I absolutely also use Lightroom as well. Now, the beauty of Lightroom, and this is step 1, this is the first of the 5. The beauty of Lightroom is that since it's not a catalog per se, your images are stored in the cloud, backed up to the cloud. There's really not much you have to do to go on vacation. You can literally take Lightroom on any device you want. If you just traveled with your phone and you had Lightroom on your iOS or Android phone, that's all you'd need. If you have it on a tablet or an iPad, that would be enough. If you have a laptop and you install Lightroom on your laptop, the desktop version, you're all set. There's nothing to do. There's nothing to copy over. The minute you sign in, as long as you have an internet connection, when you sign in, all of your images will appear. Now, they're not going to all be downloaded to the device, so let me be very clear on that. If you just had a phone, and I've got, I forget how many I have synced to the cloud. I've got 66,336 images to the cloud that won't fit on my phone. There's no way I would have enough room for all that. It caches to the phone, to the tablet, to your desktop, only what you're working on. So the 66,000 images would be available to me, but they wouldn't necessarily all be on my device unless I tap on one to go edit it. Then it will sync down whatever I've got my settings set to, whether it's the full resolution or just a smart preview. I can sync down whatever I need to work on and work on it there. Now, if I import new images, let's say I just take a laptop or I take an iPad and I import new images, whether it's from my phone, my mirrorless, my DSLR, whatever it is, they will stay locally cached until I get an internet connection. And once I get an internet connection, they'll still stay locally cached until I run out of room or until they become old. In other words, it doesn't keep the images on your device forever. It just keeps them there while you're working on them. And then once you're finished working on them or it sees you haven't touched them in a while, then it will start to delete them from the cache. They'll still be backed up to the cloud, so you're good to go. So there's, like I said, for the Lightroom user, there is not a whole lot to think about. That's the beauty of Lightroom, is that everything's always with you, no matter what device you take it on, take with you, and your images are there. So that sounds like a cop-out, right? You didn't really have to learn very much other than, hey, if I'm using Lightroom, I'm all set. There's nothing else I have to do. So for example, here are these same images on my iPad. So there's my iPad, and I've got those same images, that same set of albums. They're all here. All 66,000 images are available to me on my iPad, and I can tap on an image. I can, for example, let's tap on this first one. I can go into my editing. Let's go into the profiles here. I always do a black and white just so it's an immediate visual difference. All right, so there we go. And now I've made that change as a black and white. Let's get out of it. There we go. And if I didn't have an internet connection, that black and white change would stay local. But because this iPad is connected to the internet, it will sync up the edit because the image is already in the cloud. There's nothing left it has to do there. So working on the go with Lightroom, simple, done. Just install the apps on whatever device you take with you, sign in, let it sync whatever it is you want to sync and work with. Whatever you add will be there when you get home because it's all going to the same cloud. Okay, now what if you are, and let's switch back to the desktop. And by the way, there's that black and white change in that first thumbnail there. So the change has already been made here, just as I made it on the iPad. All right. So that's number one. Number two, which is going to be 2, 3, 4, and 5 are all Lightroom Classic related because number one's easy. So number two, let's say you're a Lightroom Classic user. So let's hide Lightroom for now. Let's switch over to Lightroom Classic. And now let's say I'm a Lightroom Classic user and I've got, in Lightroom Classic, I've got 262,315 images. So I have lots of images with me in Lightroom Classic, or I have lots of images linked to Lightroom Classic that I obviously can't take all and don't need to take all with me. So what do I do? So the first option is, this is going to sound silly. The first option is, if you're just going on vacation, leave Lightroom Classic at home and take Lightroom with you. Now, wait, you're saying, Terry, you said the same thing a minute ago. That was number one. No, it's different. Since you can sign into Lightroom Classic, you're already signed into the cloud, and because you can turn on syncing in the upper right-hand corner to one catalog, which I'm already synced. So in the upper right-hand corner, this is where you would go turn your syncing on. It's a one-time on-off, so I turned it on. Now my option would be to pause it. It says I'm all synced, but if I wasn't, it would sync up whatever collections I've told it to sync. And more importantly, if I leave this at home and I take Lightroom with me, the one we just saw on an iPad, a phone, or even a laptop, and I add images to it, those images would get synced down into Lightroom Classic when I get home. So you can use Lightroom Classic as you always did. Take Lightroom on the go, sync any images you import, any images you edit, and they will come down into Lightroom Classic in their full resolution, original format, RAW, JPEG, TIFF, whatever it is, when you get home. There's one caveat to this. Depending on your plan, you may not have enough space in the cloud to do this, because the $9.99 original photography plan only comes with 20 gigabytes of cloud storage. Now, that doesn't affect Lightroom Classic from the point of syncing up, because it syncs up an unlimited number of smart previews. But if you did the workflow I just did, and you shot more than 20 gigabytes worth of files, which wouldn't be that hard on a long vacation, especially if you're shooting RAW, then you would run out of cloud space before you got home. So this only works if you, A, have only 20 gigs of space and you're not going to shoot more than that, or not going to import more than that on the go. B, you've got more than 20 gigs of space. You got a terabyte or whatever you pay for. Great, you're all set. Or C, you're not shooting a bunch of RAW, so 20 gigabytes is plenty for JPEGs. So it depends on you. This method could work. All right, what if I need to edit images that you are not taking on vacation with you, the images that are already in Lightroom Classic when you leave home? John, you're coming up to numbers 3, 4, and 5. Like, we're almost there. So let me finish this one, and then we'll get to that to answer your question, because that's absolutely what we're going to be doing. Okay, so if you are, if you got the space in the cloud, you're all set. Just take Lightroom with you, away you go, and so forth and so on. Given I frequently fill a 32 gig card a day, I'm not even sure my 100 gigs of cloud space will be enough. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So it's depending on each person, what you shoot. And again, if I were going on vacation, I'm definitely going to shoot more than 20 gigs or even 100 gigs of stuff while I'm gone for a week or 2 weeks at a time. So that would not work for me if all I had is 20 to 100 gigs of space. All right, so to each his own. That leads us to number 3. Number 3 is the one I do. So I don't do number 1. I don't just take Lightroom with me. I don't do number 2. I don't leave Lightroom Classic at home and just take Lightroom with me. I do number 3. So number 3 is I take my whole catalog with me. I got tons of space on a laptop to take a whole catalog with me. I got tons of space on my laptop to import card after card after card. So I just take the whole catalog. That way I don't have to consolidate anything when I get home. If I copy the catalog to my laptop, which by the way, my laptop is my computer. I don't have 2 computers that I'm copying back and forth to. But if I did, I used to, then I would just either A, copy the whole catalog onto my laptop drive, take it with me, work on it, import new images, edit images, so forth and so on. And I'm going to answer John's question in a minute, because John wouldn't have all 216,000 images with him. And then when I get home, I just copy it back. That's it. I'm all set. I don't have to do anything else. I don't have to merge. I don't have to do anything. I just take the catalog with me. So let me explain a couple caveats to that. Number 1, in order to take your catalog with you, you have to know where your catalog is. So if, and on the Mac, I'm holding down the Command key, and it shows me where my catalog is. It's in a folder called TWP LRCC catalog. That's what I called it back then. And that's in a folder called TWP catalog, and that's in my pictures folder. So let's go to the main folder that these other 3 things are in. So if I go to my pictures folder, there it is. I would copy this whole folder, this whole TWP catalog, Terry White Photography catalog folder, to my computer I'm taking with me. So in that folder is the catalog and other things that Lightroom uses. So here's all the stuff Lightroom uses. So I just take the whole folder. I'm not going to pick and choose. I'm not going to try and decide what I really need and what I don't really need. I take the whole folder. That way I'm not missing anything. Now, to answer John's question, let's say I take the whole catalog with me, But obviously that's just the catalog. That's not 216,000 images. How do I edit any of those images that I didn't bring with me? Because I'm not bringing 216,000 images, I'm just bringing the catalog. The catalog is not the images. It's just what Lightroom uses. So let's say I want to work on these 395 images that I took of Crystal while I'm on vacation. I shot before I left. I'm going to be on vacation, sitting on a lounge chair somewhere, and I just want to be able to work on these images. Well, if I don't bring them with me, and I don't do one more thing I'm about to show you, then I would be out of luck. Because what it would tell me if I went to go work on it and I didn't have them with me is you cannot edit this image because it's missing or it's not available, whatever the dialogue is. And I'd be out of luck. There's nothing I could do. I wouldn't be able to work on them at all. I wouldn't be able to touch them. But if I know up front, hey, I'm going on vacation and these 395 images, I want the choice to be able to work on them as I go, then I would, before I left home, before I copied these, before I did anything, I would select all of these images, Command A, PC, Control A, select all, and then I would go to the library menu, and I would go to the, was that right? Yeah, library menu, I was right. Previews, build smart previews. This is the whole reason smart previews were invented in the first place. Because if you build smart previews, which these probably are already built. So yeah, it just happened really quick because these are already built. But it would give you a progress bar and it would build them all. And you would say, but what's that do? What that does, if we go back to where the catalog is, inside the catalog, there's a file. Let's view it by list so it's easier to see. There's a file called Lightroom, whatever your name of your catalog is, smartpreviews.lr data. All of your smart previews are in that one file. So mine's 1.82 gigabytes. It's huge because I have a ton of smart previews in there. Because I built the smart previews while the images were available to Lightroom Classic, when I go and I don't take these images with me, Lightroom would still be able to edit them because it's going to use the smart previews to do the edits. So I can edit to my heart's content. Now, there are some caveats to only having a smart preview. Number one, it's a smaller image. It's only 2540 pixels on the longest edge. So this image will be 2540 pixels wide, and whatever that would be tall, I don't know. That's number one. So it's not the full resolution. Could I export it? Sure, but only up to 2540 pixels wide. Could I edit it in Photoshop? Aha, no, not without a trick, because Lightroom would say the original image is not here to edit in Photoshop. So I can do all the editing I want in the develop module, all I want, all day long. Every setting in the develop module will be available to me. But if I needed to edit it in Photoshop, I wouldn't be able to, at least not directly. The trick, I said there was a trick, a workaround, is you could export a smart preview as a DNG, as a new raw file. It would be a small one, 2540 by pixels by whatever. But at least then you could edit that in Photoshop. So if you really, really, really need to edit it in Photoshop for whatever reason while you're on the go, not the full resolution, not the original file, you could. But again, keep in mind, you're not editing in Photoshop the original. You're editing this smaller copy you happen to make by exporting it out as a DNG and opening up that DNG inside Photoshop. And you could export it as a JPEG or whatever else. I'm just saying a DNG would at least give you a better quality 2540 pixel image as opposed to a JPEG or something else. So yes, it can be done. That's a worst case scenario because I really need to work on this in Photoshop, but I didn't bring the image with me for some emergency. I wouldn't do that workflow. So I would do the workflow of bringing the whole catalog. I would do the work for building smart previews before I left home of all the images I might want to work on. And then I would work on those images in Lightroom because I can do that all day long. When I get home and I copy the whole catalog back to my other computer, all the edits I did would apply to the full resolution images. So you don't have to edit them twice. You don't have to do anything different. It would just link to the originals in their original places, and the edits you did in Lightroom would apply to those originals. And then if you did exports, they would be the full resolution of the originals. So let me answer some questions here. Why my mobile version? Hey there, wondering why my mobile version on show 6912, all photo now 66,000 like your example, have more than 6912 in my Lightroom Classic. Katrina, because you could have 1 million in Lightroom Classic, but what's going to only show in mobile is what you've synced. So remember, I have 200,000 in Lightroom Classic, but only 66,000 in Lightroom Cloud or Lightroom Mobile, because I don't have all 200,000 synced. So it's only going to show what's been synced to the cloud. And that's collection by collection. So for example, if we look at my collections, these Krista 8 Spa gallery shots are not synced. So those would not be on mobile. Those would not be on my phone. Those would not be on my iPad. Those would not be in Lightroom Cloud because I hadn't synced those. So I only sync the ones I want, not all 200,000 images. That's why they're not showing. All right, once you return home and you have the full resolution image on your hard drive, you can delete the images taking up space and depend on smart image upload of those images on the road. No, if I'm reading this correctly. So once you return home and have the full resolution on your hard drive, can you delete the images taking up clouds? Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, yeah, yes, you can. So we talked about this in another class I did, everything about syncing. And if you get home and those images have downloaded into Lightroom Classic, you can unsync them from the cloud to clear up cloud space and they would stay in Lightroom Classic. So yes. Okay. Let me see one more thing. I saw another question here. Open the smaller images in Photoshop and use super. Yeah, you can do that. Sean, all of those would work. Yes. You can open up the smaller DNG, use super res to res it back up. But again, you're not working with the original image that you took. All right, how would they come down to Lightroom Classic? As a preview? No. Ozzy, they would come down as the full resolution because Lightroom Classic has always only synced Smart Previews up, full resolution down. So if you shot a 48 megapixel image in Lightroom Cloud while you were on vacation, when you get home, you'd have a 48 megapixel image in Lightroom Classic. No Smart Previews, you would have the full resolution. I want to make that perfectly clear. Okay. Would it be a good idea to use a VPN while away to edit pictures on Lightroom on the go? I don't see why that would help you in any way whatsoever. VPN is for privacy. I don't see what you would gain by that. You can use one or not. It's not going to change anything. All right, next up. So that was method number 3. That's the one I use. Take the whole catalog with me, do whatever I want in the catalog, come back, and I've got the whole catalog. I don't have to merge anything, I don't have to do anything. I just have to copy it back if I had a desktop to the desktop computer. All 200,000 images are on the drives at home, all set. And by the way, I take that back. There is one thing I would have to do. If I added images on the go to that catalog, those images, whatever drive they're on, whether it's the internal of the laptop or external, those I need to copy to wherever they're going to live when I get home. So I use a Drobo still as my network drive. And if I got home and decided that, okay, let me give you an example. Let's do it. So let's say, I don't even know what these Lightroom 5 images are, but let me find another one here. All right, let's say that, we'll just use these. Let's say that no, I don't want to use this, sorry. Let's say I'm done with this Krista 9 folder. It's got 213 images in it. If I got home, let's say I imported those on the go, I took my catalog with me, took it on a laptop, imported 213 new images while I was on vacation, did whatever I wanted to do. Now I get home and I want to put those 213 images where they belong at home, not on an external drive, not on the laptop drive anymore, which technically they are on the laptop drive. I've got my server here. This is my Drobo. And in my Drobo, I've got a folder called Terry White Photography. So I would take those Krista 9 images and drag that folder in Lightroom. Don't do it in the operating system. We've learned this lesson a million times. Right here in Lightroom Classic, it's moving that folder. So it's moving the folder. It's going to take a minute because those images need to be, it's a long story. But there it goes. It's starting to move those images. It will move those images off whatever external you took with you on vacation, whatever laptop you took with you on vacation, wherever those images were temporarily while you're on vacation, and it would move them to your local drive at home, whatever that local drive happens to be. And that will take as long as it's going to take because there's just something else going on with those images that's going to take a little bit longer. So Gail's asking on LinkedIn, Drobos have been out of stock for the past couple of years now, and it is a concern. What else would I recommend? I don't have a recommendation because I only recommend things I've used. So I haven't used anything else yet, but I know there's some good drives out there, some good NAS units out there. Once I switch to something else, I will then give you a recommendation. I don't like to recommend things based on what I've heard, because then that's hearsay. I don't know if it works or not. So I'd love to give you an answer, but I can't. Thoughts on using Lightroom to edit on iPad and Lightroom Classic to catalog the final image? There's nothing wrong with that. I do it all the time. Okay, so that was method number 3. What's method number 4? Method number 4 says, I don't want to take the original catalog. I don't need all 216,000 thumbnails. I just want to take a subset of my images that I'm going to work on. I don't need to take everything. Can I just take a catalog with just the images I want, take that with me, import new images into it, then come back? Yes. So let's do that workflow now. And let's ignore that message. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go, actually, we're going to twirl this back up. And we're going to go back down to the crystal gallery. Now, each collection, you can do this one of two ways. You can either do it by collection, or you can do it just by selecting all the images you want. However you do it, and put them in a collection or not. They don't have to be in a collection, but it's easier if they're in a collection. Method 3 is the one for me. Great. So method number 4, I want to just take my recent shoot with me. That's all I'm going to work on. And if I import new images while I'm on vacation, I'll import them to that new catalog and then come back and put it all back together. So you notice I've got a collection here called Crystal Gallery 1, or Crystal 1 Gallery. If I right click on it, there is an option when you right click called, and here, let me get me out of the way. There's an option called Export this collection as a catalog. That's why I said it's easier if they're in a collection, because then you get the option to do that. So if I say export this collection as a catalog, that will, let me show you what it does. That will give me the option to put the catalog wherever I want. So I would put it on an external drive or a laptop or wherever, or put it on this drive and then copy it to a laptop, wherever you want to do. So I'm going to put it on the desktop of this computer for now. And I'm going to call it Photography Masterclass Vacation Catalog. All right, that's what we're calling it, just so we know which one it is. There's a very important option to check down here at the bottom. It's called Export Negative Files. I have no idea why they call them negative files. No one uses negatives anymore. Come on, Lightroom team, just call it originals. So what this means is export the originals. Export those 394 images to that same folder that the catalog is going to be in, so I have the full resolution to take with me on vacation. That's all that means. Optionally, this is normally unchecked. You can build smart previews, but if you're taking the images with you, then I don't really know why you'd need to build smart previews, but it doesn't hurt anything. Build smart previews and include any available previews you've already built. Any one-to-one previews you've already done, go ahead and put those in there. Great. Let's export this new catalog out. And there's one image could not be found. That could be. All right. All right, anyway, let's go in, and now let's go to the desktop and look at it. So if I go to let's just do it over here. If I go to my desktop, there it is. Here it is. Here's the photography Masterclass vacation catalog and what's in there. So what's in there is number one, the catalog. Number two, since we told it to build smart previews, the smart previews file for that catalog. Number three, if I didn't say three already, all the images, the 393 or 94 images that exported out with it. So basically, this is a self-contained catalog, separate from your main catalog, has nothing to do with your main catalog. It's copied the images, so those are not the same images that are in the catalog because now it's made a separate copy. And if you took this with you, you can now go out in the field with you and you would have all your images with you and you would be able to open up that catalog and work on it. And the only thing in that catalog would be those 390 whatever images you've done, plus any edits you've done to them, and nothing else. So no other collections, no other images, no other previews, no other thumbnails, nothing else, just that one shoot. It will be a fully functional catalog, just like any other catalog. You could edit while you're on the go. You could add new images to it on the go. And then when you come back home, you could merge it into your existing catalog. So this is the option. I personally don't know why anyone would use this other than they just don't want to be bothered with having thousands and thousands of thumbnails and maybe for performance. Maybe you just want to have a small, fast catalog with you on vacation that takes up a little bit of space, little space. That's it. So could you put it on a flash drive? Sure. I probably wouldn't because flash drives are notoriously not as fast as hard drives. So yeah, you could, but I wouldn't. You could put it on a flash drive. I wouldn't work on it on a flash drive. Let's put it that way. All right. I was going to show you opening this, but this move is still happening. I wonder if I cancel the move. How much am I screwing myself up? All right, let's stop it. Let's see if it'll let me stop it. Okay, it stopped it. All right, so let me show you what this looks like. So I'm going to double click on this catalog. It will quit the other Lightroom catalog, my main one, and then open up this one. And sometimes the opening up this one doesn't do it, but it's doing it this time. All right, here it comes. So here's the new catalog. I just told it to export, or did it? Yeah, this is it. And that's weird. It's showing me all my other collection sets, but not. Anyway, I don't know why it's showing me these collection sets. That's weird. Yeah, that's weird. It shouldn't have brought over any of this stuff. Yeah, the current work. Okay, it should have brought over the ones that they were in, but some of this other stuff, I don't know why those came over. But anyway, it's only got the 395 photos in it that it should have. 395 photos. And again, it maintained the edits I did. And I can now import more photos into this one. So let's do that one. Let's say I now took this on vacation. I shot some new images with my regular mirrorless camera. Let's go ahead and now bring some of those in. All right, let me just pop this in. I heard it click. No, I don't want to use that for backup. And let's see if I get it to come up. There it is. Oh, my bad. Sorry. I'm like, why is it bring? That's an empty card. that's oh, that was totally my fault. That's a card I meant to take to my bag to use for shoots. This is the card I want to bring. All right, that's totally my fault. That's why it didn't pop up. I was like, wait, where is it? All right, hang on. Let me eject that card because it's got nothing on it. See, if I go to it, yeah, it's a totally empty card. It's never been used before. All right, let's eject it. Come on, eject. All right, I'll force eject it. There we go. All right, take the empty card out, Terry. The new card that's never been used. Put that aside because that's the one you're going to put in your camera bag. That's why you left it on your desk. All right, let's put that over there. Now let's put the card in it that actually has images on it. All right, let's try that again. Here we go, images. Okay, so now, and let's say we went to Iceland and we shot these duck photos, which I did. Let's uncheck all of these. I don't want all of them. So now I'm out on vacation, shooting new images, never been used before, never been brought into Lightroom before. And now I'm going to go ahead and say, hey, bring in these 5 images or these 50 images or these 5,000 images into my new catalog I just brought with me on vacation. So they're coming off this card. I want to copy them as DNGs. I want to put them in a folder on, well, it would be on my laptop, but you get the idea. Let's put them into a subfolder called ducks. All right. Build smart previews just because I do it out of habit so I don't forget. And I have my copyright, and that's where they're going to go. So you would pick the folder on your hard drive or external drive, wherever you want them to go, and then you would go ahead and import them. I'm just making sure I got everything checked. Good, good, good. Okay, import. It wants to enable address lookup because these have geotagging information in them. Great. Done. Don't show me that again. Cool. All right, so now I've got 5 new images that were brought in, and I can go, they're the full resolution. They came off the card. I can do whatever I want. I could go in and apply some presets to, or profiles to this and do an auto tone and blah, blah, blah. Beautiful. Great. Done. Okay, so now I'm having a ball. I'm on vacation. I'm adding new photos. I'm working on the 395 photos I brought with me. I'm adding new photos every day. Great. Now I get home. Now what? So remember, we exported out a separate brand new catalog to take with us. We added new images to it. We have the 395 images that we originally had with us. So now we got all this stuff, and now we want to get home and make our regular Lightroom catalog whole. In other words, we want it to include everything we've done. And let me go back and do one more thing. Just for the sake of example, let's make the second photo black and white as well. All right, let's just go here, black and white. Boom, done. Okay, so now I've done all this work, and I quit, or actually I don't quit Lightroom Classic. Well, I would normally not have Lightroom Classic open when I got home. But anyway, I would then go open up my main catalog, which is open recent, open up my main catalog, which means it's going to quit Lightroom, close this catalog. Ooh, it crashed when it quit. Hang on, ignore, don't send. Let's do it again. All right, let's launch it. It's opening up my main catalog, the one we were in. And again, and this one hadn't synced yet. So there's the black and white just came down. Great. And yes, I know about that error. Thank you. And this image hasn't changed or anything because I did that on the go. So now, how do I get the vacation catalog to update this catalog? So what I would do is I would go into File, and I would say Import from another catalog. That's an option that you can combine catalogs. I've got a video on this as well, a short video on just how this function works. Import from another catalog. So I would go to the desktop, which is where that catalog is. There it is. There's the catalog. Choose. And it's going to come up with a dialog box that shows me everything that's here. So, file handling. Add new photos to catalog without moving them, or I could go ahead and copy them to a new location. So if I want to take them off an external vacation drive and put them on the main drive, I can do that in this dialog box, or I can just leave them where they are. I can change existing 395 photos, replace them, replace the metadata and develop settings. So remember, we did the editing to those other photos. I don't need to copy them all over again. I just need to do any edits I've done. So yeah, do that. All right. Preserve old settings as a virtual copy. Nah, I don't need to do that, but you could. And show a preview. So there it is, showing me a preview of what it's going to do. And if I scroll all the way down, I should probably see some ducks somewhere in here. Oh, because I'm not on that one. There we go. Ducks. There we go. There are the ducks. If I do all, then that should show me everything. Great. So they're all there. So now if I say import, it should technically go fairly quickly because it's just updating the catalog at this point. All right. It's done. Now if I go to Crystal Gallery, there's the black and white edit we did on vacation. Remember, the second one was the black and white we did. All my edits came over, and the ducks are there, but it's there. I didn't manage, I forgot to put them in a collection, so they're wherever they are on this hard drive. So if I were to go and, let's see here, it should be a ducks folder somewhere. There they are. So there are the duck photos that came over as well. So that's method number 4. Export out a subset of images, full resolution, take them with you, do all your edits. You can do any exporting you want because you have the full resolution. You can do anything you want because you have the full resolution. Make any edits you want. Open them in Photoshop. Add new images. Take new images. Use your phone. Use your laptop. Use your DSLR. Use your mirrorless. Import all you want. Do all you want. When you come back, import that catalog into your main catalog, and everything's in your main catalog now. Manage the images where you want them to be. So these duck images are now in a folder that I want on my server. So I could just drag that off the hard drive it was on into my Terry White photography, and it's now moving those 5 images to that server. So you can do whatever you want to do to manage your photos, but do all the management here inside of Lightroom. All right. And it's disappearing because it's moving that folder over where it's supposed to be. So they will end up being down here in the D's somewhere probably. Yep, ducks. So it's moving them into this new folder on the server. Okay. There's one more method. Again, I would use 3. I take the whole catalog with me. I can see someone only saying, hey, I just want to take a subset of images that I just want to work on. I don't need all 200,000 with me. Then what's number 5? Number 5 is very similar to number 4. The only difference is you're not taking any images with you. In other words, I'm going on vacation. I'm going to a great place, great location. I'm going to shoot all new photos. And yeah, here they come. And I just want to work on my new photos I take with me on vacation, like that I take on vacation. I don't need any of this stuff that was at home. I only need the new ones. Then all you have to do in that case is you would not create a new catalog from existing images. you would just create a new catalog on your laptop or external drive. Empty, new catalog that you can then do whatever you want with, bringing in hundreds or thousands of new images while you're on vacation, or while you're on location, I should say. So that process would be File, New Catalog. Where do you want the new catalog to be? Either on an external drive, laptop, disk drive, copy it to the laptop, whatever you want to do. So I'm going to say summer vacation 2022. That's the name of this new catalog, and I want it on the desktop. Save, create. It's going to close Lightroom, going to close my main catalog. That's Lightroom Cloud in the background. It's then going to open. Sometimes it doesn't reopen. It didn't reopen, so I have to manually reopen it. It's going to open up the summer catalog, and there's nothing in it. This time there's no collections, no anything, because I just told it to create a brand new catalog. So now that brand new catalog is empty, nothing in it from my main computer, nothing in it from my desktop, starting from scratch, importing all new photos that I take on vacation, and then when I get home, those images get merged just like I did last time. So the only difference between method 4 and method 5 is method 4, you're taking some images with you. Method 5, you're taking no images with you. You're starting from scratch. You just create a new catalog, go. So which method is for you? Let's recap real quick. Number 1, just use Lightroom. If you're a Lightroom user, you're all set. Number 2, leave your Lightroom catalog at home and just take Lightroom with you. And I'm going to show you an example of that right now. Number 3, take your existing entire catalog with you on your laptop. You don't have to take all the images, but they will, all the thumbnails will be there, and if you build smart previews, you'll be able to edit. Number 4, export a subset of images as a new catalog, import new images into that catalog, import the whole catalog when you get home, all the edits, all the new images come into your main catalog. Number 5, just create an empty catalog, import new images on vacation, edit, and come home and merge that catalog, and all the images will be there. All right, so Nicholas says number 5 is his method. Just start with a new catalog for vacation. Katrina, where will this replay be? Where all replays are, on my YouTube channel at terrywhite.tv. Okay, let's give you one. So this question always comes up. So let me use my last few minutes to answer this question. So I'm going to go back to my main catalog, which gives me a bug when I do that. I got to submit a report for this. All right, let's go back to the main catalog. All right, main catalog's open, and let's switch over to, hang on one second. I just want to make sure this is good to go before I, yes, I know that's a plugin error, by the way. One of my plugins has a bug. All right, cool. Okay, let's say, I'm just trying to figure out the fastest way to show you this. Let's say you take your phone or your iPad or your whatever Lightroom you're using, whatever device you're using, Lightroom, not Classic on. And let me just do this real quickly. Time player, new movie, not me, my iPhone. All right, so there's my iPhone. Go into Lightroom. The images that are synced. My whole catalog of synced images, 66,336. And then I either take pictures with my mirrorless DSLR, the iPhone camera, the Samsung camera, whatever you're using, and you take a new image. So I'm just going to use a Lightroom camera just for the sake of time. So I'm going to take an image of this mouse. There it is. And I shot it in RAW, I believe. Yep, I shot it in RAW. And there it is. Okay, so now if I get out of the camera, my dirty keyboard, there it is in all photos. So now it will sync that to the cloud. That's what it's doing right now. It's uploading that full 12 megapixel DNG, 24 megapixel, 48 megapixel, whatever your camera captured, syncing that to the cloud. So whatever amount of space that takes up the full amount of that image in my cloud storage. So that's what I mean. If you only have 20 gigs and you do a lot of raw shooting, that may not work for you because you don't have enough room. So now the question becomes, when I get home after shooting all these images with my mobile, with my DSLR, with my whatever, and I imported them into my iPad, my phone, my laptop using Lightroom, when I get home to Lightroom Classic, what do I have? All right, if we go up to Lightroom preferences, let me, first of all, while we're waiting for this to sync, because I can see it's syncing right now, first of all, let me show you the sync. So the syncing's happening right now. There's the one photo coming down from the cloud. There it is. So the question is, where is it going to go? That's up to you. If I go to the preferences and we go to Lightroom Sync, you decide where your photos come down to with this preference. You decide what folder, you decide what drive. I'm bringing them down to my Dropbox folder, but you can put them on any drive, any folder you want. That's where they're going to go. They're only going to come down to one spot. This folder, wherever you tell it that folder is. So you would click choose, you would pick the drive, pick the folder that you want all cloud images to come down to when you take images out on the go. Whether it's with your phone, your iPad, or import into your phone or your iPad or your tablet or your laptop or whatever it is, when they come down from the cloud in their full resolution, where do you want them to go? And that's where you tell it. Okay, let's close this. Let's see if it's finished yet. Still syncing one photo down, or maybe not. And if I now go in, oh, you know what would be easier? Let me just add that photo to this album. Hang on. I'm going to manage it, organize, add to. We're in the crystal gallery. Let's add it there. Crystal gallery. Add. Okay, just to make it even easier to find, I've added it there. If I didn't know where it was, let's say I didn't add it to an album, I would go to my all photos, and it would be at the top of the all photos, depending on how you sort. So rather than just show all my photos, I'll just wait for it to finish syncing, and that's where it will be. Okay. Thanks. I'm not a genius. I just have used this for many, many years. All right, so let's answer any more questions. I got like 2 minutes left while we're waiting for that last final sync to happen. And also, let me go look over here. Nope, it's not finished syncing here either. So while we're waiting for that last, or maybe it did finish. Maybe it's at the bottom. Yep, it did. There it is. Okay, it's at the bottom. So it finished syncing in Lightroom. It's on my desktop there. And it maybe hasn't finished syncing in Lightroom Classic yet. But it will either sync at the beginning or the bottom of that collection, and that's where it will be. All right, you're welcome, Katrina. When you share a collection, is there a way to allow downloading the full resolution JPEG image? Yes and no. If the full resolution's in the cloud, when you allow downloading, that is what it downloads as a JPEG. But if you've only synced from Lightroom Classic, it's only going to ever be a smart preview. So it just depends on how your full resolution is. If your full resolution is in the cloud, yes. Your full resolution is not in the cloud, no, because it can only sync what's there. All right. I don't know what's going on with this particular sync, but it should be there in just a second. All right. Let me just quit it and relaunch it just in case. I don't want my sync to be stuck at the last minute. But I know it worked because it's in the cloud version. So it's up there. We're just waiting for it to sync down. Now it's showing me a green box, which I know it wasn't synced yet, but it takes like, it starts syncing like every, and no, plugin's got error. It syncs there it is. Okay, so it just need to be kicked. Like get started, go. There it is. So there's the mouse image I just took with my phone, or the 500 images I took with my DSLR or my mirrorless or my phone while I was on vacation. When I get back, they will sync down in their full 12 megapixel, whatever resolution, whatever file format. So it came in as a DNG. It's 3024 by 4032 pixels, which is what my phone shoots. And there it is. So as a DNG file. So that's how it works. And I am out of time. So that was the main thing I wanted to share with you guys today. You can take Lightroom with you one of 5 ways. Pick which way is best for you. And if you get confused, just watch the replays. You'll be able to go through this over and over and over again until you get it. Cheers, everybody. Thanks for watching. See you in 2 weeks. We're not doing these next week. So in 2 weeks from now, we'll have another masterclass. Bye, everybody.